Today, we're going to be talking about area of squares and rectangles. Now, we're being asked to find the area of this square here. Now, if you look at your GED formula sheet, you might see under where it says area of a square, you might see something like this. Area equals S and then a little 2 on the top right. That simply just means side times side. Now, the cool thing with squares is that all four sides of the square are of equal length. So even though we're only given one side of the square here, all four sides of the square here are really 4 miles. And to find the area of the square here, we simply have to multiply the side. In this case, our side here is 4. So we just have to multiply the side by itself. 4 times 4, which is 16. 16. We have, in our area is 16 square miles. Here's another problem. Again, we're being asked to find the area of the shape. Notice how the two sides that were given here for the shape are not the same. When you see this kind of shape, that tells you that this is a rectangle. Now, if you look at your GED formula sheet and you look under where it says area of a rectangle, you might see something like this. Area equals length times width. So what is our length and what is our width exactly? Well, L stands for length, and that is usually our longer length out of the two. So which length is greater out of the two, 3 or 5? Well, 5 is greater than 3, right? So our length is 5 yards. And the other length, in this case the smaller one, our width, that's 3 yards. Now, to find the area of the rectangle, we just multiply the length and the width. In this case, area equals our length, which is 5, times our width, which is 3, and we get 15 square yards. Here's another problem. Notice how now we're kind of doing the reverse. We're being asked to find the missing length, S over here. And it looks like we're given the area, which is 126 miles square. So I'm going to keep a note of that. Area equals 126. And it looks like we have a rectangle here because one side seems to be longer than the other. So we're going to be looking at area of a rectangle. Area equals length times width. And it looks like we're trying to find the length. So our length is question mark. And it looks like we're given the width here, which is 9 miles. So because we know that the area is 126, I'm just going to replace A with 126. L, we don't know what it is. And our width is 9. One way you can think about this is ask yourself, what times 9 gives me 126? Another way you can think about this is solving for L algebraically. Now, if you divide both sides by 9, you'll be left with L equals 14. So our length, in this case, is 14. They use the variable S here to represent our length here, but yeah, so our S is 14. 14 miles. Here's another problem. Again, we're being asked to find the missing length, and we're given an area of 20 yards squared. So I'm going to keep a note of that. Area equals 20 Now, we're not sure if this looks like a square or a rectangle, but it doesn't matter because the only difference between a square and a rectangle is that all four lengths of a square are the same, while for a rectangle, there's only two pairs, opposite ends are the same. But either way, if you're given the area of the shape and you know one of the lengths here, you can directly solve for the missing length by just dividing the area, in this case 20, by one of our lengths here, which is 5. And you get 4. So our missing length here, A, is 4. And this method works for both squares and rectangles because you're multiplying the horizontal and the vertical length together to get our area. So you could just do the opposite, which is dividing. So our A is 4 yards. Here's another problem. Notice how now we're not given a diagram, but you can always draw one if you're not given one. So it looks like we have an area of 540 square feet for this rectangle. So I'm going to make a note of that. Area equals 540. And it looks like we're given a base of 30. Now, it doesn't really matter which length you label for the base, but I'm just going to do it for this length of the rectangle here. Make a note of that. Base equals 30 feet. And the reason why it doesn't really matter is because we're going to end up dividing the area by one of the lengths that were given. So in this case, 540 divided by 30, and we're going to get 18. So 18 is our height.